just wanted to show you the basics you're going to need for a tire rotation. Obviously you're going to need jack and jack stands to get all four wheels off the ground. Now today I'm going to be using this impact for removal and just snugging on the lug nuts. But I do torque them down, which is why I have this torque wrench. But if you don't have this, a good old breaker bar will work. This is actually just a 1/2-inch ratchet with a pipe whacked on it, but still just a breaker bar to break the lug nuts loose, and then from there you could do them by hand. And then obviously just a socket for your lug nut. Today we're using the 19, and obviously, like I said, the torque wrench. So now let's get into how to do a tire rotation. Tire rotation is something very important that should be done to every car to extend the life of the tires. Now this is a pretty easy job you could easily do yourself and save a few bucks. So let's begin by talking about some common ways that tires are usually rotated. Alright, so I've drawn up a quick little diagram of how tires are usually rotated. This is just like the really common way to do it, but you always want to check your owner's manual or contact the dealer to see how it is specific for your car to do it. But this is just like the generic way. If you do it this way, you should be okay. So in this first box we have rear wheel drive. Now this is going to be the front of the vehicle. These two black tires are going to be the front tires, and the blue is going to be the back tires, and the color of arrow corresponds to the tire. So for rear wheel drive, you would want to X the fronts. So you would bring driver front to passenger rear, passenger front to driver rear, and then you would just scoot the two back tires just straight up. So passenger side, driver side, driver side. So that's how commonly rear wheel is done. Now four wheel and all wheel is commonly done in an X. So you would take your driver front, put it passenger rear, passenger front to driver rear. Same thing with the backs, you just make the X with all four of them. And for front wheel drive cars, the common way to do it is take both front tires, move them straight back, and the back tires X. So you would bring the two back, and then this passenger rear would go to the driver front, driver rear would go to the passenger front. So we're going to demonstrate on a 2004 Ford Escape. This is a four-wheel drive model, so in this demonstration video we're going to be using the X pattern. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys the example of how to rotate the tires. So like I said, this is a four-wheel drive, so we're going to make the X pattern like I talked about. Now if you don't have an impact gun, you could always use a breaker bar. The only difference is you would want to make sure before you brought the car up that you broke each lug nut by hand, just one turn or something, and then brought the car up, so that way you could easily unspin all lug nuts. But with a impact, you could just bring the car straight up and remove all lug nuts. So I'm going to take off all four tires, and then I'll show you how to cross them. Alright, so now like I said, we're going to make an X pattern. So we're going to take our passenger front and we're going to roll him over to the driver rear. So I'm going to put him over here, and I'm going to take our driver rear and bring him to the passenger front. And I'm going to grab our driver rear, or passenger rear, I'm sorry, and put him in the driver front. So we'll just roll him over here for now, and I'll grab this tire. And we're just going to roll him back here. So now you've completed your X pattern. Now all we gotta do is put the tires back on and bring the car back down. So once you have all your lug nuts on, just simply run down your tires. You could do this with just the socket if you're doing it by hand. Just run them all down. Before we put the car down, I'm going to go around and torque all the wheels. So I'm just going to run all lug nuts down. Now, when running down your lug nuts, if you don't have an impact, you don't want to like impact them, like sock them down, but you just want to run them flush so we can torque it when they're on the ground. If you don't have an impact, you easily could just twist them on by hand like that, all of them. And especially on tires, you want to do a cross pattern. So if I do this one, I would do this one next, and after this one, I'd come over here, and after over here, I'd come over here, and I'd finish over here. You want to do a cross pattern. You don't want to just go bump, 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 because then the tire is going to sit all weird. So just make sure you do like a star pattern. You just do the one across from it like that. Okay guys, so real quick, a crash course in how to use a torque wrench. When you buy a torque wrench, right here it's going to say foot-pounds. Now on this one, as you can see, I have it zeroed out. So right now we're not at anything. And the torque spec on this car is going to be 100. Right there, that number. So we're going to want to crank this up until the 0 is on the 100 line. So the 100 is up here. So now, as you can see, our 0 is right where it says 100. It might be a little hard to see because the light, but you want that 0 to be on the 100. That means we're at an even 100. Now if the torque spec was, let's say, 102, you would turn this, the 2 was right there, and then that would add up to 102. But today we're just using the 100. And then you just want to lock it in, and then you're ready to go. Once it clicks, you know they're tight. So there we have it. All the wheels are torqued down. Alright guys, so I hope this video helped you on the on a tire rotation. I hope it was very informative. I tried to include about the torque wrench and all the steps. Now the torque wrench thing was kind of fast. I could make like an in-depth video on it, but I think that should give you pretty much the understanding of how to use it. And how to perform a tire rotation. So as long as you follow the steps in this video, you should be good. Just make sure you you know, obviously use the right jack and jack stands. I'm gonna have a video for that too, how to properly raise and lower your vehicle, so I'll put a link to that as well. So thanks for watching. We have weekly videos that come out every Friday. We have a Facebook fan page. Definitely go check that out. Subscribe, comment, like, all that stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.